Hey everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to Behind the Eyes. This show we're excited about. This show everybody should be listening to. More people should be listening to it. We already did our pilot episode and we wanted to push that a little bit more. I want more people to view it because our pilot episode actually was exactly what we wanted out of this show, to explain what the podcast is, how it came about, and to give you guys a look at Hannah and myself. And just who we are behind the scenes and stuff like that. That's it. When we do these here podcasts, it's usually just her and I. Just we sit down, and sometimes she don't know what I'm gonna say, or what topic or something, or sometimes we pick it. It's always changes, but we don't have any script. We just sit down and we roll with it. That's the way we've been doing this show, and that's what we wanted to kind of get to our audience, give you a little bit something different than just normal podcasts all the time, I guess. But we are sitting down tonight. We're going to talk about a couple things, but this episode, Statute of Limitations. I had this idea based on another podcast I was listening to, and those gentlemen had some epic stories. And I said, you know what? I'm full of epic stories. And I said, in our past, in your past, Hannah, was not that long ago, which really worries me
Listen,
right
all
now.
of these are past 10 years. So, hey, FBI agent John, mind your business. And I totally forgot we're releasing this video. So, excuse my facial expressions because can't hide it.
Yeah. But I always love it because Hannah always on the show, if you listen to our episodes, Hannah always tells personal stuff. And so it shocks me sometimes. I'm like, she just pulls it out of the air and she's so honest. And I mean, I love that. So when we came up with this idea, I said, Hannah, we need to sit down and tell a story about something we did in our past that might not have reached the statute of limitations. And we're just going to roll with it. And she's been nervous ever since.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna head out.
But we're not ready to do that just yet, all right? Because this is kind of a wrap-up show. We release it once a month, and we basically just go over what we have talked about past episodes. Maybe we want to add a few things to them and all that. And so, with that, Hannah, you came up with some great ideas. You came up with the serial killers, which everybody's loving. I mean, it's one of your favorites. But then you sat and you basically stole the show with the taking responsibility one. Yes. I was kind of shocked. Like, it was a general chat, but it was your idea, your topic, and you rolled with it, and a lot of people are loving it. I mean, at least statistics shows that. And I'm always like, I'm so glad I got you on the show. But yeah, that taking responsibility episode, you spoke about a lot of things, and I think it touched a lot of people, the right way. And I mean, do you remember, is there anything that you forgot from that episode, or you want to reinforce?
That was definitely my goal, to touch on people, because I think it's sometimes more than it should be forgotten that you need to take responsibility and take accountability for your actions, because you have no idea what it's like on the other side. Like, for people's, whether it be people's feelings or even like people's situations in, like, financials or in their homes and things like that. So I just really wanted to push that. And just to kind of like add on it, I can't recall if I said this in the podcast or not, but
we're in our studio and our 2-year-old is upstairs and bouncing. I mean, so the noise you hear penetrate, that's a 2-year-old, and it penetrates the sound. Yeah, well, even that, so, which is worse, it's closing up, but
yeah,
it penetrates. So we do apologize, we can't edit everything out of there.
I know. But just to like touch base, as far as just like holding yourself accountable, even for things that affect you. I think I didn't really touch on this as much as I wanted to, is if you're going to do something and it ends up affecting you in a negative way, whether, it be what it be, you need to look back and then reflect. I think that's so important, because lately I mentioned this, but like just lately I've been trying so hard to not be such of like a easy set off angry person, but for the past few days I've just been in so edge and just like kind of letting like intrusive thoughts and negative thoughts kind of fill me a little bit, and it just turns me into this mean person, and I just like snap at the smallest things. So I've just been trying to, revamp on myself on what I said and just take accountability and just be like, you know what, you're not a shitty person. You're not, but what you're doing is kind of shitty. You need to fix your shit.
Well, that's good. That's very brave, very honest of you to admit. Many of us can't, take that responsibility
Be
to come forward
self-aware.
and be self-aware
Yeah.
like that. But you know what? It's all part of being human. You're human, and these are human reactions. But it takes a better human to turn around and admit it.
Mm-hmm.
So I admire that about
Do you
you.
have anything you want to add to the episode?
Well, funny that episode, yeah, you kind of ran away with it, but what's really weird is like recently my troubles, my problem that affected me the last few came from somebody else who didn't take responsibility or took responsibility, but took it in a bad way, and it destroyed people's lives. I mean, it really did. And to take that episode that we spoke about and then actually living through it, that's a big takeaway for me. Life imitates art. Happen to be art.
Yeah.
I really think that more people really need to understand. Stop being miserable.
Yeah.
I think that's
Definitely.
key to that.
Like with people not taking accountability for their actions that affect people, you will get your karma. And I mean that I'm sorry, but in the meanest way. I don't stand for people treating other people shitty or people being vindictive. I just don't stand for that.
Yeah, and my problem obviously is much bigger. I can't even talk about it, but it takes a lot to be that miserable. And yeah, it's harmful. I don't really like, you're right, karma comes, I believe in that. When you got this there's always, an opposite. There's always going to be a bad, there's always going to be a good. So right now I'm in the good. I'm in the upswing right now.
I think I could be like one of like the nicest people and I wish good on everyone. But when it comes to people like that, I stay positive, but I do wish them the karma that they deserve. So I wanted to clarify that. I'm not a meanie.
Yeah.
I just wish the karma that people deserve on themselves.
And I used to be different in the past. And you're going to find that out on the second half of this show when I go into some of my stories. But I've changed huge. I'm from, 20, 30 years ago. I've changed so much. I just have this whole different, vibe about me now. But yeah, anyway, take responsibility. Take responsibility for the nonsense that you do. Holidays and Commercialism, that was a cool episode too, but I think everybody is familiar with that because, hey, listen, we go through this every year. The commercialization of the holidays, we see that more and more, and it gets more commercialized.
I took over that show too.
You did. And again, I appreciate it because you got some, like, because me, I don't really celebrate Christmas, and I don't because of the commercialism. I just don't like it. I like it personal.
Yeah.
I don't want all the gifts, and I come more from pagan traditions.
And I definitely redeemed myself just over like the past couple of days as far as gifts. I did like a lot of not necessarily handmade, but I did like, sentimental versus junk that's going to be thrown away within the next year. So,
and vampires. We spoke about vampires, man.
Cool.
That was cool. I was like, we went down the serial killer route, and then it just came to me. I said, vampires, man. Everybody who doesn't like a vampire, and we spoke about, I think the underlying message on that one was the fact that how many of you wish you were a vampire? That want that desire for that immortality, for the
and I think we both agreed on no.
Yeah, we like
there's like
I need sunlight.
Yeah.
That's my problem. That's why I can't be a vampire.
I wouldn't want to live forever. That was my big thing.
Yeah. It's tough. And I think though it makes you think because vampires kind of like a self-reflection of most people. And that's what I think really that episode brought out, because a lot when we come down and come up with these topics, like even with serial killers, because remember when I did flat earth, I was like, everybody's going to think I'm going to talk about flat earth. It was really talking about how we treat other people just for having a different opinion or a different view or a different philosophy. And we relate it not just with flat earth, but anything, religion, what type of motorcycle you ride, what type of car you drive. It gets really, really ridiculous. And that is why we had that conversation. And that's why the same thing with vampires. The vampire is kind of like that reflection of what some people wish they could be to get away or even escape that, Then there was UFOs, my favorite.
Yes. You were giddy.
I was giddy. And I'm still giddy about it. The only thing I want to add, because listen, UFOs, I could start my own podcast on. I mean, you go down so many roads, so many avenues with them that, it's just too much to talk about. But I did want to touch on, because if we go back 6 months ago, and I remember it was still spring and we were still doing some of our podcasts outside. And I think we had spoken about, whether it was on a podcast or if it was over the Wisdom app, but we spoke about UFOs a little bit. And because there was an incident that happened in Las Vegas back in, I think it was May 1st. I wrote it down somewhere, but May 1st. There was a family in Las Vegas that reported an alien creature in their backyard. And what was really the events leading up to it, the police that responded had on their body cams, they caught, well, what they say is a meteorite, but who knows? There was something like, crashed through the atmosphere, whether it was a UFO, whether it was a meteorite, we don't know. But there was a family that reported seeing, and they were so convincing. And for them to pick up the phone and call 911 was I said, they're telling the truth of what they believe to be the truth. And I said, well, I'm not going to talk about it too much because
we're going to wait on it.
We're going to wait because I want to see how the media handles this. I want to see where it goes. And that usually, gives you, that's the litmus test of whether this is real or something. Mm-hmm. Heard nothing about it.
Yeah.
And then when you hear nothing about it, then they're hiding something. And that's the way the media works and all that. And it's a false flag for something else. And somebody else was a whistleblower talking about aliens that we actually have had contact. And I forget the guy's name, Grouch, I think. But it was kind of like a distraction from him. But this kid that was in this family, most of the family seen the creatures and they all kind of told the same story. But the kid was 16 years old and he actually wound up doing a YouTube channel, but he wasn't just sitting there trying to make himself famous. He only did one episode and he basically described what he's seen. If you go on YouTube, Alien Society 51 and Society 51, the numbers, and he just tells his story. It seems like he's reading from a teleprompter. He doesn't speak English very well, so I don't know if that's just helping him, or he just, like me, don't know how to work YouTube or anything. But he's also showing like clips of the police that when they showed up and their body camera footage and all. But he's kind of verbatim gave his testimony, so to speak, on what he's seen. And it was, listen, to me, it's 100% convincing.
Yeah.
They seen aliens in their backyard right after this thing crashed out of the sky. Yeah. And the other thing I found out about that when I was digging a little bit more, the Las Vegas police literally put surveillance cameras on top of their house. And not just like, I'm not talking about like a ring camera. I'm talking like police style surveillance, like they use for like, riot control and stuff like that. It's on a mast. It's a good camera. And it looks like it's got something else on there, probably capturing sound or something else. And for a metropolitan police department like that to do something like that raises more red flags for me. So hey, we could go down that route many, many times. I'm grabbing her drink instead of mine.
My ginger ale. With that, I just think it's not funny, but to me, like, the government was always like, aliens are out there, but what's funny to me is that like these police force put these cameras on here thinking that this house is just going to be like a frequent stop for aliens. That's just me though. You know what I mean? Like the aliens probably looking down at the camera like, we can't crash here. Don't crash here. No fly zone.
Yeah, maybe you put it that way. It is kind of weird, but I just find it weird they actually put a camera up. I mean, you get legit break-ins. You'll have houses that get broken into a lot down there. No one's getting cameras put on their homes like that.
No, unless
Watch
they pay for
specifically,
it.
right? So it just kind of, it strikes that red flag with me when
Yeah.
it comes to UFOs. So, and I'm tangling myself up here in the wires. I promise not to make too much noise. So that was our shows. That was our little wrap up. I want to get to the fun stuff, but just before we do that, listen, I've been doing this a lot lately, and I'm not doing it because I want the same done for us. I mean, it's nice, we appreciate when other podcasters do it, but I just listen, we've created kind of a sub community recently with a few people. Like, I don't have time to listen to too many podcasts, but the ones I do listen to, they got to be quality for me. And I'm not talking quality as far as spending money and all the graphics and
The
fantastic.
shit that they talk about.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I want real people talking about real stuff and just putting it in a package that I like. And hopefully you like it too. I just want to run through their names because, again, I love giving them a shout out, and I want you guys to find them, follow them, listen to them, do whatever you want. It doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, yeah, we can sit and beg for money all the time. We do have a donations link on our website, eyeopenersociety.onpodium.co, in the top right-hand side on the donations. Nobody uses it. We get it. Listen, nobody has money for that. We're still going to bring you a show, and we're still going to bring it to you for free. But everybody struggles, and everybody wants to be famous. And Hannah and I, we're going to be famous soon. The list I got here, these guys are going to be famous too as well. Because listen, I just think they're really great. Because as far as our wrap up here, on the 18th of this month, December, we were on the Nonsense and Deep Thoughts podcast, and we had such a fantastic time.
Great.
Yeah, Corey and Justin and Jarrett, their producer, who's behind the scenes and doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. But they have a variety show, and they are my spirit animal of the podcasting community. Nonsense and Deep Thoughts, check them out. They're on all their major platforms, and they're also on YouTube, and they have spin-off shows. They have a sports show. I think it's on Sunday mornings, if I'm not mistaken. They also are working on a political show, so it'll be a spin-off as well. It's just not out yet. And there's also a side project that they do, Tales from the NICU, NICU, and they showcase people that had tough births and all that, right from the NICU, and including their own story. Really, really great, fantastic people. I can't stress that enough. Listen, we had such a great time.
We did. It was such a great show.
Yeah, and listen, genuinely good people, and they're from Pennsylvania. They're not that far. I really like this spring, summer. I want to get together and just hang with them for real. Might drag a microphone though with us.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
we could definitely rile up Justin. Then there's
my spirit animal.
There you go. Yeah, you and him are exactly alike. It's great. Ouch, was that a ghost? Listen, I've been listening to this show. It's a cute kind of take on the paranormal and ghosts and crime stories and stuff like that. The banter between them. I want to promote them, but they are changing up their format, and it's crimes and ghosts. But I want you to go and find Ouch, Was That a Ghost? Because I just don't have all the background information on that and how far they've gone. But Ouch, Was That a Ghost is still up there. And their episodes, I want you to listen to them because they have a really fun show. They really do. And they deserve the support. And I know, like I said, behind the scenes, people have real lives. And in order to have fun and do this hobby, sometimes that gets difficult.
It does.
And some people have to bow out. And I hope that never happens to us, and I don't like it happening to other people, but they're striving and they're going to continue, and it's not a big deal, but they still have their show, and I think everybody should take a listen to it. And of course, everybody better be listening to Matt and Monica podcast. I told you this before. They are freaking incredible.
They are.
I know they worry so much about how they're doing things and their format and all, but guys, stick to your formula, man. Like I said, that's the whole reason I got so drawn into your show. Keep it up, and you guys are going to be on our show. So look out for that Matt and Monica podcast. Bell Witch podcast. Again, another great show.
I love it.
Love it. If you're into, even if you're not into it, if you just want to learn about the Wicca and witchcraft and, the real way, not the Hollywood way, by somebody who actually practices.
Mhm.
You got to tune in. Bell Witch Podcast. Twisted Tales, hosted by Chris R. Tell, my Canadian friend, another decent human being that just does stuff as a hobby, and he's actually talking about crimes and cold case files and stuff, but real ones.
My
And he's
kind of
just, yeah, there you
guy.
go. But he's just telling the real straight up facts about them, because he's bringing light to this stuff, to cold case files. And, it's true. You're probably just doing a podcast, but you are actually getting it out to people who may never have heard about the cases and might actually have information. So he gives case numbers and phone numbers and all in case anybody has information, bring some closure maybe. So it's really good. It's deep. It's perfect. It's just a simple format and it works. And I enjoy listening to that. You should too. Twisted Tales. And then Mortal Musings. Mortal Musings. I don't know. Mortal Musings. It's my accent.
You're from New York.
Yeah, that's what it is. Mortal Musings. But listen, those guys, that show, I think I started listening to Nonsense and Deep Thoughts first, and then I started listening to Mortal Musings, and I couldn't get enough of their show. I sat down, I think 4 hours or so. I just listened to everything they did. I just can't get enough of their stuff. They have incredible banter between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about, again, same thing, like serial killers and really kind of the macabre kind of stuff that you wouldn't really want to be talking about and having that type of banner, but they do it anyway, and they do it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Check them out. I wanted to get that out of the way because, like I said, we don't get anything for that. We don't expect anything back, but I like these guys and they're part of our community, and I like doing that for them. But I also wanted that as a little filler, because now we're getting into the fun stuff, and I could already feel the anxiety coming off my partner here. We're going to get into what this show is all about, the Statute of Limitations. Hannah agreed to go first because she says her story is a little bit shorter, and she's going to tell us 2 stories. I'm going to tell 2 stories. And the reason I'm doing this, not only just to have fun, but also because this is exactly how Hannah and I get ideas, topics, and this is the way we are in real life, off the cameras, sometimes on the camera. We sit here and we bullshit. Like, I mean, she's a stepdaughter and all, but Christ, we're raunchy. We talk about anything. I don't care. Yeah. I respect her. She respects me, and we have a great time together. She's like my best fucking friend. And this is exactly how things happen. I'll just throw things out at her, no matter what like, if you didn't know us anybody, you'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. And that's why we decided to do Behind the Eyes. And this is exactly how it is. So she has no idea what stories I'm going to tell. She's never heard them before. I know that. And I have no idea what she's going to talk about. So this is going to be a first for both of us. Mm-hmm. And since she's going first, I can't wait. So here we go. Hannah, your statute of limitations, are they up or not? Tell your first story.
They should be up. They were when I was like 15 and 16, and I'm 26. If they're not, I'm just not going to enclose locations.
Yeah, no names, no locations. Just be careful of that.
Okay. I just want to do a thing real quick before I go in. I am not this person anymore. I was a overly depressed, anxious, non-medicated teenager who seeked bad friends, alcohol, and marijuana. I'm not that bitch anymore. So I just wanted to get that back, and I am very ashamed for what my actions were. I'm not that person anymore. Okay. Okay. Oh God. So first story, I was probably, I want to say I was 16. I think I just turned 16. It was near like the fall, winter. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. And I was on my way to a party destination, and the driver wasn't drinking, so that was great. That's just something I've always been like a no-go on. But we were drinking in the back seat, we had somebody riding in the trunk with one like thing open, like on like how seats come back so you get into the trunk.
Split fold down seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this car was packed with probably like 6-7 people. It was like a little Honda Civic. Yeah, rock one. And we just thought it would be a great idea to get rid of the evidence just in case we did get pulled over. So at the location we were riding across a dam. So we decided to throw all of our beer bottles and beer cans out of the window and smash them into the dam. And while we played reckless music.
These were empties?
Yes,
okay.
of course.
I was gonna say, what the hell you doing? Because when you say get rid of the evidence, it's okay.
No, we finished it.
All right.
But I just look back at that now and I'm just like how disrespectful I was, like of like, property, making me feel really shitty about that. But at least I have that like moment to reflect on, you know what I mean? Like I would never do that again. But it was just a thing that I did when I was a shitty teenager.
Okay. I mean, listen, that doesn't make you a sheeper. I think probably 99% of people have that.
Yeah, but but like you see, I don't really have like bad, you know what I mean?
God,
like I mean, I
means
did fuck up shit, you know what I mean? Like I'll add a bonus little one, and like I came home and like my mom was straight up like, "Are you drunk?" And I was like, "No, I'm not drunk. Like I'm fine." Meanwhile, I literally walked up my stairs. It was like door and then stairs, and I think I don't even know if you were on the couch.
I was there. I remember.
I think I just straight up just like was so high and drunk that I just fucking ran into the wall. And my mom was like, "Go the fuck upstairs. Go to bed." Did I ever get grounded? No. I was just a spiritful, exploring soul going through it. And this
Statute of Limitations number 2.
Okay, listen. I peed off of a library roof.
Get the fuck.
Oh,
so many questions with this one.
So I was hanging out with a group of people and we were trying to get into this park, but the park was like gated and we just wanted to go and like hang out and like have fun and be stupid. But like it was one of those parks that like was like blocked off and like it gets locked at each night after like sunset. But the library is right next to it. So we all just decided we were gonna climb up on the roof of this library to get into the park. So like hop the fence. So as we were doing so, I was so drunk that you have to break the seal. You have to. Do women break the seal, or is that just a guy thing?
No, that's the women break the seal.
Okay, so I had to go. And they're like, "Well, like hurry up and go." I was like, "If I don't go right now, I'm going to pee my pants. Like I have to go." So straight up, I think I was in like shorts and I just was like peed on the roof because if I wasn't, I was gonna pee all over my clothes. And to this day, I feel so guilty about that because that was probably the most raunchiest thing I have ever done in my life.
I have questions.
Oh God. Okay, what?
Just to really
He's
spice
like
up the story.
Disgusted.
I mean, listen, we all peed when we were drunk, but I've never peed off of a roof of a library that I'm trying to get into a park. Questions. I think I know what park you're talking about. Like I said, no names or anything. But you couldn't just like go through the woods or something and probably peed in the woods. Like, would that not have been easier?
I could not. I didn't. You know when you're like so drunk that all of a sudden the pee just hits you. Like
that's fine, but I'm questioning going on a roof of a library to get into this park.
I don't think you're thinking of the right one.
I don't know how that would be easy. I would climb a fence or go through the woods or something, but okay, but all right, but you're on a roof.
The roof was easier.
The roof was easier. Okay, all right. Another question: drop trowel or slide to the side?
Side.
You slide to the side. Damn, that is fucking badass.
I know. Like,
wow. All right. All right. Okay, statute of limitations. Listen, probably trespassing. Your first one, probably some destruction of property,
indecent exposure.
And indecent exposure. I mean, to me, that would be decent exposure. But then again, I'm a sick fuck like that. But I like it. I like it. Good stories. Good stories. Anything else you want to add before we get into the real criminal shit?
There was one story I was thinking about as I was telling that story, but now I don't remember.
That's okay. We could save it for, we could do a continual statute of limitations shows. Up to you. But if you want to share, if you want to wait till maybe after mine, or
Yeah, let me think about it. 'Cause it's in there, but I just completely forgot it. But yeah, there's more stories. I'm not that raunchy person anymore. I look to reflect back on that. That's just something that's so disgusting and so indecent. But at the time, I was like under the influence of two different, what are they called?
yeah. Wait, I just came up with another question.
Oh God.
Peed on the roof or off the roof?
I was at the edge, so it kind of went in the gutter a little bit.
So kind of like off the roof.
Yeah.
Anybody below?
What?
Anybody below?
No.
No. Oh, okay. How many people were there?
4.
4. Wow.
Mhm. They got a nice show of my ass, kind
Wow.
of, in a sense, because I was like
Mhm.
kind of like this, but I had to wipe, so a little bit of my ass got exposed. It was great. It was a great time.
Nice, nice. And so you wipe. So you actually had stuff with you to wipe
I did because
as your trespass. Wow, that's fucking Boy Scout shit, right?
listen because we were bringing our alcohol and our food with us, so I had my McDonald's and I had the napkins from my McDonald's.
Wow.
I
Okay.
was prepared. I would never not wipe.
McDonald's for the save.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay,
They're
cool.
loving it.
All right. Okay, so
Oh God, I feel
this
horrible.
is my stepdaughter, by the way.
I feel horrible. I was like 15 for that one. So that was 11 years ago. That was 11-year-old Hannah me. The people like
I just, the peeing when you're drunk is not a big deal. I mean, listen,
library roof is what gets you.
yeah, it's a library roof, and you peed off the roof, kind of off the roof. Like me, I've whipped it out in front of everybody. I don't care. I gotta pee. But yeah, that's taking it to another level. That's awesome. Rock on, brother. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Just like your shirt says, savage, pretty savage, man.
Oh,
No judgment. She rocks. She's not like that anymore, but
no,
she can't even hang anymore.
I
Me,
can't.
on the other hand.
I would
All right.
never do that now.
All right. Are you ready for my stories?
Yeah.
Because I got 2 of them, like you got 2 of them. Mine a little bit more in detail. And again, no names, or at least I'm going to use probably initials or something, or just a letter, because, and listen, I was born and raised in the Bronx. Okay. So I did a lot of growing up really fast, and the people you hang with, you're products of your environment. So here's my story. I got 2. Do you want to hear the real, like, you told the kind of easy one, so I'll tell kind of the easy one, but it's a little bit long. One of the coolest things when I was in middle school, we used to call it, I don't know if it's a geographical thing or anything, but we used to call it junior high school. But junior high school, middle school, whatever. Fucking young, you know what I mean? And we're talking 80s, early 80s and all. I went from grade school that I used to literally cross the street from my house, just cross the street, and there I'm in, grade school. I remember playing wiffle ball and sponge ball and, you know, just being a kid. And then you go into middle school, and I don't want to sound cool, but where I went, it was a very, very diverse school. Like, I mean, I was exposed to so many different cultures and everything. I learned a lot real quick. What I didn't know and didn't learn in grade school, I certainly learned the first year there. Now, I can't remember, and again, this is a long time ago. And so I don't know if it was like the first year or the second year when I got involved in this, but I think everybody has a woodshop teacher.
Oh God.
And woodshop teachers, for whatever reason, I think it's a requirement that they got to be crazy fucks, or they just got to be the coolest people on the fucking face of the earth. I'll call him Mr. S. I mean, I'm sure he's not with us anymore. Short, little, stocky guy, treated us like we were fucking 30-year-olds. Like, he didn't care. Me and my closest friend at that time, I'm just going to use the letter J. Me and Jay were tight, and we used to go to this class. It was the only class we probably never cut out of because he was just so cool. He's sitting there doing these stupid, like, horse head bookends and just stupid things to learn how to work a bandsaw or whatever. But he was in charge of the audio-visual room.
Oh no.
And for whatever reason, he liked me and Jay. And one day he came to us and says, listen, I don't like doing this shit. You know, I'm pretty sure he was the type of dude that he went into the teacher's lounge, probably had like a flask with him somewhere, passed out. Like he didn't want to do anything other than his class. So he had to pick up the microphones, run the projectors and stuff like that. He laid that responsibility upon me and Jay.
Oh God.
Now it gets worse because that entailed, I want to put this in perspective now. Me as a kid, what, 13? We had control of the room. And this wasn't just a room. Right outside of the auditorium, there was a staircase with a huge door and a huge lock on it. You go right up the stairs, and then you turn, and then you're facing the actual, like the camera room, basically. So when you look above, you know, where the spotlight and all shines down, the projectors. That was just that room. It was great that we had that. Not only did we have that, but there was a hallway and it went to a storage room. And that storage room had no lock on it, but it was like old books in there. We weren't too worried about that. Just before you got there was a little turnoff, and there were staircases that went down to the hallway, but that's long since been gated off, and there was just a big roll-up gate. Nobody had access up or down. But if you come out of the little audio-visual room, guess what we had? An entire classroom up there with a door like a bank lock almost. It was the ones that had the lock dead center of the door with the 4 pins that locked down. Like this was fallout shelter kind of New York City school.
Yeah.
It was probably a 20 by 10 classroom, I would say, if I remember, you know, trying to get a 3-stall bathroom. And then there was another little back room with its own door and lock on there where they stored a lot of stuff. We cut out of every single class ever. And the great thing, Mr. S, our shop teacher, would just write us a note. He didn't care. He gave us the keys and we took them home. We had access to the school. There was a couple times we spent the night in that room. Like when there was a play on and we were running the lights and all that, we'll spend the night in the school. And we bought booze, we bought food, and we quickly, us 2 little nerdy metalhead kids, became gods. Okay, we just became gods. And after a while, and I think you know exactly where you're going. Like there was plenty of people. Hey, can I go? Come and girls only.
Yeah.
Oh, can I bring my boyfriend? Fuck no.
You little horny fucks.
Hey, listen, then the breaks, you know, we had that power. And 13-year-old kids, holy shit. Like I said, party, you know, school classes, we just meet up in there. And so one day, like I said, our thing, like we literally one day, they used to have like the assembly and they come in there and talk about dumb shit. And then we'll come down and grab the microphone. It was the old mic. I wish I would have stole that shit. It was one of those old school Shure microphones on the stage. Yeah, I didn't know back then. It was because it was so old. Who wanted this crap? It was old back then, but now, oh, I would love to have one. But I used to come down, collect it, so they bring it up so nobody steals it. You know, this is the Bronx, New York, right? So they had the assembly, and we cut out of class just to go. Now, here's the weird thing. Like I remember it was me, my buddy Jay. There was another friend of ours, M. I'll use the initial. So me, J, M. And I can't for the fucking life of me remember who the other person was because there was 4 of us that day.
Male or female?
It was male.
A.
Well, I'm calling him X because it could be X. One of several. I just alcohol and shit over the years does this shit to you. But when we went to collect the microphone, we also noticed that the school's gymnastics or whatever set up the stage because they were doing shit like that. And it was up there for a while, but the entire stage was loaded with the mats, you know?
Yeah.
And there was a balance beam that was just sitting up there on the stage too as well. So when we seen all the mats on the floor and there's 4 of us, we said, what's better than to have chicken fights? Let's get on each other's shoulders and try and knock each other over. Shit, there's cushioning on the floor, right? So stupid us, you know. Now, me and Jay was short, stocky, and me, I probably back then I weighed like 90 pounds soaking wet. So I got on his shoulders, you know, solid foundation.
Isn't chicken supposed to be for in the pool?
Yeah, but there was no pool, but there was mats on the floor. So M, bigger, stockier, X, I can't remember, but definitely they decided that M was going to get on X's shoulders, and we're like, we won. This is going to go down real quick. So I got up on Jay's shoulders, and boom, we just collided in the middle of the stage. Just kidding. It was no big deal. M went backwards hard. All we heard was this sickening thud, like boom, and it echoed in this fucking empty stage. So what do? We all run, hide, because we think he's going to kick our asses.
Yeah.
All right, no big deal. We're running, we're hiding. And all we hear is M crying. Oh, guys, help. He's like, yeah, no, bullshit, man. We're going to come out. You're going to beat our fucking ass. We ain't coming out, kind of nonsense like that. Time's passing and no one's. So I was the first one to come out, and I walked, and I was like, holy shit. All I seen was fucking blood, like when he went back, he hit his head right on the fucking balance beam. So it was like a 10-foot straight fall right on the balance beam. Oh. So he's on the floor. And now M was Italian, like me, real olive complected. He was ashen white, And I'm like, oh shit, guys, you got it. And like, oh, no, I said, no, he's fucking bleeding. So everybody started coming out, and we're like, well, holy shit. So now we're worried because, one, we're all cutting class. Two, we don't want to lose the keys. And we're just looking at him bleeding, and he's crying, and he's probably going in. He's probably seeing the light at the end of the tunnel by this point. And we don't give a shit because we're trying to come up with a story, because I'm like, guys, get around. We need to help him, but we need to come up with a fucking story. We're not going to sit here and say we just were fucking around, cutting class and doing chicken fights and knocking each other over. We got to come up with a legit story.
His ass under the bus.
No, we didn't throw his ass under the bus. But we sat there and in a huddle coming up with stories while M's dying, losing blood. Like, we're moving away because the blood is just trickling across the mats, which are basically kind of waterproof. So it's like, liquid silver going through. I mean, it's just all over the place. And he's bleeding. And all you hear is him whimpering. Like, he's seeing angels at this point. We don't get, we're like, so finally I said, listen, guys, all this shit's been up here for a while. We're AV monitors. We're trying to do the right thing. So we wanted to stack all the mats up in the back of the stage to clean up the stage. So M grabbed, and he was walking backwards with it, and he slipped, and he hit his head on the damn balance beam. Holy shit, that's a great fucking story, right, Gary? Yeah, excellent story. Great. We're going to go with that. And so we're like, all right, we need to stick to our story. And this is taking time. And M's just losing like every ounce of blood that's in his body, So he's just, and so we finally gather around, like, we're standing in his blood, and we're just all over him. And we're like, M, listen, we're going to go get help. Please. First of all, when anybody asks you what happened, this is like, this guy, he's hallucinating at this point. He doesn't know shit. But we were not going to get help until he told us exactly the story that we had, because we all had to have the same story. So finally he's like, okay, whatever, fucking help me. Like, all right, you better, man. So I run out. And now, because we were the AV monitors and we were so cool, back then it was the Office of School Safety, and they so it wasn't like police, but they didn't even wear the hard uniforms. They wore like the blazer jackets and ties, but they were special police, and they had, power of arrest and all that. The one dude, he knew what we had going on, our little operation. He used to come to us when he wanted to catch some, Z's, and he used to go in the back storage room. So he knew everything about, and he was real cool, and, bless him, man. But I came running out to him, and I said, well, thank God he's there. I was like, dude, I can't remember his name. I was like, hey, security, listen, major shit. So I guess he's looking at me like, dude, what? When he looked, I literally was standing in his blood. There was footprints of blood from where the auditorium all the way up to him. He's freaking. He's on that radio, calling for ambulance. He's like, what happened? I said, you just got to come. Our buddy's just busted his head open. We went in there, and my other two, so X and J, are around M, and they're like just standing over, like, you better stick that fucking story. Security comes in. He's like, holy shit, send the fucking cavalry. That cops show up. Obviously they always show up for this shit. And they're asking me and my friends, what happened? Well, officer, we were just cleaning up our stage here, pulling the mats, and he fell backwards. M, I think, said this exact same thing, probably later on when he regained consciousness or whatever. But he had a nice chunk taken out of his head, few stitches and all. He came back the next day, trooper. Next day, we're in the principal's office immediately. And the very first thing the principal says is, give me the keys. Oh.
Who fucking snitched?
Well, it was all over the world because literally, the ambulance and cops were in there. So it had to come down to it. So yeah, Jay had the keys. He turned them in and shit. But the really cool thing, maybe 1 week later, the shop teacher just grabs us. He said, listen, here's the keys. He says, don't do any more stupid shit. It's not really anything statute of limitations, but it was just a cool story. I thought it was epic. I thought I'd tell that.
Poor M.
Yeah, poor M.
I bet it was X who's fucking snitched.
Nah, X didn't snitch. Nobody snitched. Not back then. Nobody snitched. So are you ready for the real good one that probably may or may not have reached the statute of limitations? This one, yeah. Same disclaimer Hannah had. Do not think of me as this person anymore.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm no longer like this. This was just kids messing around, junior high school. We knew no better. We were just stupid and we were just trying to make names for ourselves. So I think more towards the end or so there, probably last year, I started running too with a couple of real juvenile delinquents. So just say they were good kids, but they just had to review than I did. And I wasn't really fitting in, but I hanged with them. It was very diverse. Back then, anybody did anything. These were the old days. There was this nerdy kid that, used to hang with us, but he was always getting his ass kicked or something, He was just weird. So one day we ran across him in the hallways, and there was this one dude like looking to kick his ass for whatever reason. I don't know, but big dude, like I think gang affiliations and everything else. But me and my buddies, we actually did have some sort of decent respect with everybody, and we had pull. I mean, we were nobodies. We were like freaking nerds, but we kept to ourselves, and we were respected amongst others because of that. So we came up and said, dude, leave him alone, man. Just it's not worth it, And like, all right, brother, respect you and shit. So he backed off of him. So I thought that was nice of us. We helped him out, this way he doesn't get his ass kicked again. But obviously, he owes us, right? I mean, he owes us. And what better way to repay us than in money, Say, hey, we just saved you from getting your ass kicked. We want payment for this. If we don't get payment, we're going to kick your ass, So, yeah, so I'm horrible. So yeah, that happened. So we were following him around every day, and hey, have to give us a fucking money, man. We're gonna kick your ass, or we're gonna get the people that want to kick your ass to kick your ass. We're not gonna help. So one day, off school property, in the streets of the Bronx, Castle Hill. And I said no names, but it's the Bronx. It's Long Street. We're walking in. There's the kid, right? We see him, and the two nerds, right? Two nerdy kids that were juvenile delinquents, and me. Hey, get over here. You owe us money. He starts running, right?
Oh no, bud.
So we have to run after him now, right? We caught up to him, and the one kid, I'm going to call him O, and he jumped on him just as he was hitting into the street at a major intersection, knocked him down, and a car came just shy of stopping and crushing the kid's head. And O's on top of him, kind of in a headlock, pushes his head under the tire. And he's like, you better give us some money or I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, literally like that. I'm like, holy shit, this really escalated quickly. So we're like, oh, fuck, dude. So we got him up, and we're like, dude, we're out fucking streets, and everybody's looking. So we pick when he runs away, and we're like, yeah, you better fucking run. And we're like, oh shit, dude, what are you doing, bro? Like, So, all right, no big deal. Let's calm down. Just fucking get out of here. So we get out of here. We didn't think nothing of it. Next day in school, I'm in my homeroom class, and here comes that same security guy that, from probably a year ago or so. He comes up and he's like, You need down in the dean's office. Common for me. I thought nothing of it, right? Zero fucks given. Like, okay, again, what now? Going down, the staircases, and the security guy was in front of me, and he just stops. And he turns around and he looks right at me. He's like, "Do you know the type of trouble you're in?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything,
Yeah.
So he shakes his head, he starts walking again, and then he turns around and stops me. He goes, "You realize we got to call the police for this?" And I'm like, "For what?" I'm like, "What did I do, man?" So he's just shaking his head. He's like, "Dude," he says, "You guys are on." So, and then I'm like, "You guys?" I'm like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Whatever." We walk into the dean's office. So there's my two other juvenile delinquents already in there.
Oh,
and they shoot me
whoever.
eye daggers, and they're giving the eyeball. There's the nerdy kid that we saved. We saved it. He's got his back turned, like he's like got his back turned, like this is witness protection. We know who it is, but he's got his back turned, and they're both looking like fucker. I'm like, holy shit, he ran this way. So there's a dean. The dean, she was master of resting bitch face, and I've never seen a bitchier face than what she had on that day. Like, oh my god! So we're like looking like, okay, no big deal, not panic. Back on looking at the guys. I'm like, I got this. So they're talking, and they say, "Do you know why we're here?" I said, "I have no idea. I'm here a lot, And like, "Do you know the meaning of the word extortion?" And I'm like, "No." Like, I'm 13, 14 years. I've never heard the word before in my life. And they're like, "Do you realize people go to prison for that for a long time?" And I'm like, "I had no idea." Like, and what are you talking about anyway?
Yeah.
And they're like, him over here, they're talking about the nerdy kid. And like, he said that you've been shaking him down for money. And I'm like, no, 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 no. All big misunderstanding. This can't. So she recalls what happened the day before about sticking his head on their car tire and saying, "You're going to kill him." And I was like, "Miss Resting Bitch Face, listen, that's not exactly what happened."
Miss RBF.
I was like, "That's not exactly what happened." So I'm sitting there, and all of my creativity, a 14-year-old mind can never come up with. I'm like, "Listen," I said, we stopped him from basically getting his ass kicked one day, but and I mentioned the guy's name, and his name was big. Like, oh shit, okay, we won't even get involved in that. And I was like, but you know, we just wanted to hang out with him. And I said, we're telling him, "Hey, if you hang with us, you're not going to get your ass kicked because we got your back and shit. So we didn't want money or anything. We just wanted him to hang with us." And he's been avoiding us, and we just wanted to be friends with him, but he keeps running away all the time. He thinks we want money or something. Where he gets that from. And that day he started running, and he was running right out into a street against the light. If it wasn't for my man over here tackling him and saving him from getting hit by a car, he would probably be dead right now for the second time if he didn't get his ass killed the first time. So they're looking at me, scratching their heads like, where the fuck did he pull this out? They turn to the nerdy kid and they're like, "Is any of this true?" Mind you, behind the backs of security and the dean and assistant principal, myself and my other two buddies are giving him the eye, like, So we're threatening him right there. So he must have thought better of it and went along with and he's like, "I guess that's true. I didn't see it that way." It's like, yeah, we saved your life from getting crushed by a car, man. Right there. I said, that was messed up. I said, this happened also. It had nothing to do with it. We have to call the police for this. I said, and they're like, "Just give us a minute. We'll try and come up." So we're leaving, and they were having their discussion. They were probably like, either this is the greatest storyteller in the fucking world, or he's full of fucking shit. But we don't want to get the police involved. We don't want to get all, because the schools hated that kind of crap, that sort of, negative, negativity.
Yeah.
So they call us back in, and they must have talked to the nerd again. He was like, he dropped everything. "Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's fine." And yeah, we walked away from that, man. We walked away from extortion at 14 years old.
Poor nerdy kid. If you're watching this,
God only knows where he is. I think he turned out pretty good. So all good, but that's my statute of limitations.
and hey, nerdy kid, you still owe him
You
money.
still owe me money. All right. Especially for saving your life the second time. We're not like that anymore. We are your hosts, Hannah and Gary. This was really just for fun. I'm sure everybody has epic stories in the past. And if you want to tell your story, send it in a message. I would love to hear it, man. I love epic stories. You know, they don't have to be criminal.
Episode.
I would
Oh, I'm
tell
just
people.
reading anonymous things.
Yeah, I
So
would
cool.
keep it completely anonymous. Don't tell us, don't confess to shit you shouldn't be confessing to, okay? But if you do want to write us some stories or something, or even record yourself and say, do it. All right. If you, we have our email on our website, eyeopenersociety.onpodium.co. But we are your hosts. We're good. We're good people. Things have changed. We're much better now.
We
Okay.
are.
Don't judge us. Don't judge. Slide to the side. Piss pants over here. No judgment. I love her very much. We are Hannah and Gary. This gone on a little bit long, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Look out for the show. Tell everybody, get everybody else to watch it. Once a month, the show will come out as a wrap-up show. And yeah, if you want, tell us your epic stories. I love listening to them. Everybody, take care.
See ya.